Hey folks, welcome to the Leeds Gamer. Just before I get into the video, do please give the video a like and please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Do also please hit the notification bell so that you don't miss any future content. Purpose of today's video, I'm not really into international football, but it is the World Cup this summer. So I thought to myself, how could I relate this to Leeds United? Well, I thought Leeds have had a good season, so which of the 30 Leeds United senior players have done well enough to earn a call up to the international squads? This is not actually whether they've been called up or not, but if I think they deserve to have been called up. Bearing in mind, I haven't seen other teams or other countries' players. I've only seen the players at Leeds. But this is just my opinion. So no right or wrong answer, in theory. Now, the way I've laid this out, on the left you can see all the countries that have qualified for the World Cup. Then the first of the two player columns, the first one is all of the current Leeds United players that would have qualified to be able to participate in the World Cup. And then the final player column is the column of players whose countries did not qualify. So I'll just get those out of the way firstly, and whether they would have actually been called up to their country had they qualified. Ilya Gruev, I think he'd be a very good defensive midfielder for Bulgaria. So he'd have been called up, I think, I would have called him up for Bulgaria had Bulgaria qualified. Italy have failed. They're a nation that's gone downhill over the years, haven't they? They used to have a quality squad. Some real good players. I mean, Del Piero is one of my favourite Italian players of all time. Former Juventus striker. Brilliant player in his day. As far as Nonto's concerned, I don't think Nonto's been good enough for Leeds this season in terms of his... You know, he puts in a lot of effort when he comes on, but he's not played enough minutes this season. And there's going to be lots of Italian players that would have played quite a lot for their clubs this season, so I don't think Nonto would have done enough. But he's still young, he's only 22. Got bags of time to get more caps for Italy in the future. Jacobiol, without a shadow of a doubt, if Slovenia had qualified for the World Cup, Biol would have been one of the first players on the team sheet, let alone the squad sheet. Without a doubt, Biol's been really good this season. Pirro, so initially Pirro was classed as Dutch, but he has since played a cap for Suriname. So I've gone with him being a Surinamese player now, and they didn't qualify. But I don't think there's much doubt he would have been, despite the lack of minutes he's had at Leeds United this season. I can't think to myself that Suriname, I just don't think it's a country that's blessed with lots of quality players, and we know that Pirro at championship level can be very good. So I think that Pirro probably would have been called up had Suriname qualified, even despite the lack of minutes he's had at Leeds this season. But certainly based on last season, he'd have got called up immediately. And then the four Welsh boys, Ethan Ampadu, Carl Darlow, Dan James and Joe Rodon. Three of them have been excellent this season for Leeds United. Captain Ethan Ampadu, goalkeeper Carl Darlow and centre-back Joe Rodon have been absolutely superb. Dan James for Leeds hasn't been that good, in the sense that he's hardly played. But you can't teach pace, and I think that for the Wales squad, I don't think the squad is blessed with lots of pace. So I think that Dan James is a very effective outlet for the Welsh squad. So I think that all four of those would have been called up had Wales qualified, in my opinion. Just a little take on Gruev as well. Gruev has had a decent season for Leeds. He's another one that's had relatively limited minutes, but he has clocked up 3 assists from a defensive midfield role. But he has been one of the backup midfielders. But I still think he's good enough for Bulgaria personally. So that gets those 8 out of the way. So on to all of the players that could have qualified for the World Cup, or certainly been available, if they were fully fit, would be available for their countries for the World Cup. And I've put them in order of where they fall in groups. So the first country that Leeds have a player in is Switzerland. Now, for me, Noah Okafor has had a very good season for Leeds United, and if I was Switzerland manager, I'd be getting him called up. You can see what he brings to Leeds with that skill and that ability to score goals. I just don't think there's any doubt. Now, when it comes to Isaac Schmidt, I don't know what he's actually done, but just going off the stats alone, it's suggesting that in the Bundesliga this season he's played 19 matches, scored 1 goal, 0 assists, and he's got 2 yellow cards. It really depends on how many fullbacks Switzerland have got, doesn't it, and the kind of quality that they would have. I still personally think that Schmidt would be a better attacking midfielder rather than a fullback. I don't think he's any good at fullback. He hasn't got the pace or the positional awareness. But he is very tidy on the ball. He looks a clever player on the ball. And I think he'd just be more suited to an attacking midfield role. But he'd have to be coached and trained in that position. Moving on to Lucas Perry. He's played 16 games in the Premier League for Leeds, and he's also played 4 FA Cup games, and so in total he's made 20 appearances for Leeds this season. So not a bad return in terms of number of games played, but he was susceptible to 1 or 2 errors in the Premier League games, but in the FA Cup he was excellent, especially in penalty shootouts. So my take on this is, if Brazil get embroiled in a penalty shootout, if they get through to the knockout stages of the World Cup and they get embroiled in a penalty shootout, if they had to rely on Lucas Perry, if Alisson Becker or Ederson were unavailable, I think Lucas Perry might have just sneaked in as Brazil's third goalkeeper, purely because of what he's done in knockout competition this season. In the Premier League, I don't think. I mean, generally speaking, he doesn't get ahead of either Alisson Becker or Ederson. But as the third choice, it's ended up going to Wellington, that plays for Gremio. I just wonder if Lucas Perry could have maybe sneaked in as the third choice goalkeeper on the basis that he's proven to be very good at penalty shootouts this season. So, yeah, take that as you will. Because again, how often does a third choice goalkeeper feature in a World Cup? Not often. So he might have just about done enough, in my opinion, if I was the Brazil manager. Going on to Brendan Aronson. I think Brendan's had a decent season. And I don't think USA would be absolutely blessed with fantastic attacking midfielders or right wingers. And Brendan's chipped in with both goals and assists this season. So for me, I think Brendan deserves a call-up. Then Leeds has 2 German players, Lukas Metscher and Anton Stach. Metscher, for the limited number of minutes that he's played this season, I think he's done very well. But again, you've got to think that there'll be some other German strikers out there that will have played more games this season and possibly scored more goals. So therefore, I think Lucas possibly struggles. Anton Stach, on the other hand, has chipped in with goals and assists. He's a good set-piece taker as well. He'd get called up straight away if he wasn't injured, in my opinion. I'd have him in Germany squad straight away, really. Pascal Strout. Again, I don't know what the quality of Holland's centre-backs are like these days, but I think Pascal Strout's had a very good season. He's been part of that Leeds United back three that have just been really, really good. He's comfortable on the ball. He's good aerially. Um, yeah, I think Pascal Strout's been unlucky to not get called up. I mean, at the very least, in preparation for the World Cup, why not call him up for a friendly and see how he does in a friendly? You know, just to give the setup at Holland or Netherlands a chance to have a look at him. Yeah, I think Pascal's been unlucky, but for me, if I was the Holland manager, I'd be calling him up. Outenacker, Al's had a bit of an up and down season, hasn't he? You know, he's made almost as many starts as he has sub appearances. He's chipped in with a couple of goals, couple of assists. I think he possibly merits a call up to Japan just on the basis that they probably don't have a plethora of, amazing midfielders. And we know that on Outenacker's day, he's a very tidy midfielder. And Outenacker's not played badly for Leeds this season. He's just not played as regular as he would have liked. So I think for me, I think that Outenacker deserves a call up for Japan. Gabby Godmanson, if he can get fit, yeah, no brainer. Gets in that Sweden squad, first choice left back. I can't imagine there's another left back or left wing back in Europe that's been better than Gabby Godmanson this season. So yeah, that's an easy decision. On to the two Belgian players, Seb Bornau and Largi Ramazani. Difficult one for Seb. I just don't think Seb's played enough games this season. You know, he's been involved in 11 league games. It's not enough, is it? Really? You know, he's been involved in a total of 9 starts and 7 sub-apps. It's not really enough game time, is it? I wouldn't have thought. I think there's probably some Belgian centre-backs out there that have probably done not necessarily better than Seb Bornau, but certainly more than Seb Bornau. Like when Seb's played, he's played fine. He's played pretty well. But has he done enough? Like, has he played enough this season? For me, I just don't think he has. Largi Ramazani's been on loan at Valencia this season. I'm just trying to see how many goals and assists he's had this season. Largi has made 26 appearances for Valencia, getting 6 goals and 1 assist. That ain't bad, actually, is it? That's not bad. I just wonder whether Largi Ramazani might have just had an outside chance of getting a call up for the Belgium squad. He's got 1 assist in 4 appearances in the Copa del Rey in Spain as well. So effectively 6 goals and 2 assists in 30 appearances in all competitions. That's not terrible, is it? Would that have been good enough to get into the Belgium squad? It'd have been very close. Very, very close. I don't think there'd be a ton of wingers, a ton of Belgian wingers that would have done much better than that. I don't think that's a bad attempt. Yeah, borderline for Largi. Borderline. Matteo Joseph, he's obviously been on loan at not Monaco, what am I about? Mallorca. But unfortunately, I think he picked up a nasty injury. Now in La Liga, according to this, it looks like he's played 29 matches for Mallorca, getting 2 goals and 2 assists. For a striker, that ain't good enough, is it? Striker, you've got you judge on how you score goals, and that ain't enough. That's not enough. And he got about 3 goals in 15 appearances for Leeds in the Championship last season. He's just not a prolific striker. Now, I think he might have been played at slightly out of position at times with Valencia, but at Mallorca even, sorry. No, that's not a good enough return, is it? for a striker. There's going to be Spanish strikers out there that have done far better than that this season. So no, it's a no from me. Illemillier for France, he hasn't played a game. He hasn't played a game, so he can't be worthy of a call up for France. Simple as that. Max Weber. Again, I think Weber's been injured most of the season. He's played literally 2 games for Werder Bremen. That ain't going to get him in the Austria squad. Had Max Weber not been injured, I think that he would quite comfortably have gotten into the Austria squad because he's a decent player. But no, with him hardly playing, he hasn't done enough. Simple as, really. Onto the English boys, of which, as you can see there, we've got quite a lot. Jayden Bogle. Now, I think Jayden's come away with 1 goal and 1 assist from right wing back, but generally speaking, he's had a very good season. So you then got to think to yourself, so who's he up against in the England squad? Possibly Alexander Arnold. Trying to think of right backs off the top of my head. You could argue that Jayden Bogle could possibly have deserved a call up, but it doesn't look as if he's going to get in. Alex Keynes hasn't played a game, so he doesn't get called up. Simple as that. Sean Longstaff, just hasn't played enough, has he really? Again, Sean's a bit like Outanaka. He's had a mixture of both starts and sub-apps, and that doesn't really equate to being able to get yourself into an international squad, does it? When Sean has played, I think he's picked up a couple of goals and a couple of assists for Leeds, but is that enough really? I'm not so sure. I think it's fair to say that Sean misses out. There's going to be other midfielders that will have had a little bit more output this season for sure for England. Dom Calvert-Lewin, I think he deserves a call up. I think Dominic Calvert-Lewin deserves a call up to the England squad as Harry Kane's backup. I really do. Kane's had a phenomenal season playing for Bayern Munich, but when it comes to DCL, he's made 38 appearances in all competitions, and he's got 15 goals. I mean, if that doesn't merit a call up, I don't know what does. Quite frankly, either a second or even third choice striker. He's got to get called up based on that, hasn't he? For me it's a no-brainer with DCL, to be honest. He's done very well. Jack Harrison has played 14 times for Fiorentina, with 1 goal and 3 assists. Not a dreadful campaign for the number of games that he's played, but there's going to be English wingers out there that have had a more productive season than Jack. 4 GNA in 14 appearances is not a disaster by any stretch, but it's not world beating either. And we're talking international football here. If England have got any chance of getting anywhere in this World Cup, they need to call up the players that have done the best for their domestic clubs this season. And Jack Harrison's, he's not there, is he? Let's face it. He's not the player he once was, really. I actually think that Jack Harrison deserved a call up for England back when he was getting 8 goals and 8 assists in a single season in the Premier League for Leeds. But that hasn't been the case for 3, 4, 5 seasons now, however far back it was. Pretty straightforward there. James Justin. I just wonder if James Justin would have been worthy of a call up for England on the basis of his versatility. He might not be getting called up for England as someone that's going to start every game. But for for James Justin, he's played 34 times in all competitions this season. He's chipped in with a couple of goals and a couple of assists, and that versatility of being able to play right wing back, right back, centre back, left back and left wing back. That kind of versatility is hard to come by. So I just wonder if James Justin would have merited a call up just on the basis that if he's called up as the final defender in the squad as a versatile utility defender, you couldn't have begrudged it, in my opinion. He's done well. I think he might have just squeezed into an England squad if I'd have been England manager. Sam Byram's hardly played, so he won't get in for the England squad. And then finally, Joe Gallagher. Now, it's very difficult to judge Joe because he's not playing in the Premier League, he's playing in the Championship. But at Championship level, he's ended up getting 15 goals and 2 assists in 41 Championship appearances. It's pretty good. And he can play centrally or, kind of like a winger or a wide forward, if you like. But or even as a 10. But he's had the best G&A of any season in his career so far. He's 24-year-old now, so he's not a kid, even though he looks like one still. He's got one of those baby faces. But he's had a great season. But I think just because he's not playing at the top level, you can't be taking a player that's not playing in the top level for a nation the size of England. And is he going to get ahead of the likes of Kane, even DCL, and then the others that have contributed for goals and assists this season in the Premier League that are English? He's not quite there, is he? But no doubt about it, he's had a very productive season, and maybe this season is the season that kicks on Joe Gallard's career. Maybe gets him a move to the Premier League, either with Hull if they get promoted, or maybe to be bought by another club. I don't think he'll play another game for Leeds, but he's done well, hasn't he? So there we go. So yeah, there you have it, folks. That's my take on it. There's not really a lot of Leeds players that would potentially get into these international squads for the World Cup this time round. Which is a bit of a shame in a way, but on the flip side, it means that more of them can train, in the pre-season as long as they get fit, get rid of any injury, and then they can be ready for the new season. But yeah, I'll leave it there, folks. That's my take on the Leeds squad and whether they deserve a call up for their country or not. Put your thoughts in the comments down below. Let me know which players you think would have been good enough to earn a call up for their country for this summer's World Cup. And again, please do all that good stuff. Please give the video a like. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and also please hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future content. But in the meantime, folks, take care. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.